Breaking news tonight, the political and legal worlds are bracing for another indictment. If you thought one indictment for a former president was historic, try four. Fulton County, Georgia is expected at any day, maybe even any minute, to return another indictment against former President Donald Trump. And there is more. You will be able to watch this trial, number 4, on television. Under Georgia state law, unlike New York state or federal law, cameras are allowed with the judge's approval. In short, you better get ready. Good evening and welcome to The Record. I'm Greta Van Susteren. Former President Donald Trump expected to be charged in the state of Georgia for allegedly, emphasis on the word allegedly, interfering in Georgia's 2020 election. Earlier today, a judge in Fulton County ruled to allow cameras in the courtroom. If indicted, and security around the courthouse right now heavily hints that will happen, the indictment, it would mark Trump's 4th indictment in less than 5 months, adding to an already staggering series of trials. And the timing of this indictment could not be worse in the midst of the 2024 primary election cycle. Earlier today, the Fulton County's court website sparked a national frenzy. For a brief moment, and this is so bizarre, this document listing several criminal charges against former President Donald Trump was posted online. A very quick-thinking Reuters news service spotted it, and before it was deleted, copied it. The charges listed, among others, included violations of the Georgia Racketeering Act, known as RICO, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, and conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, among others. The total number of charges appearing to be 13. But let me repeat, Fulton County quickly deleted what the court posted. And of course, it was deleted without explanation. Moments ago, Trump's lawyers put out this statement, quote, "The Fulton County District Attorney's Office has once again shown that they have no respect for the integrity of the grand jury process. This was not a simple administrative mistake. A proposed indictment should only be in the hands of the District Attorney's Office. Yet it somehow made its way to the clerk's office and was assigned a case number and a judge before the grand jury even deliberated. This is emblematic of the pervasive and glaring constitutional violations which have plagued this case from its very inception." Meanwhile, as the intrigue captivates the political world, the Fulton County DA's office said no charges have been filed against Trump. So what was that? Just practice posting online? Bottom line, this is very weird. Former Georgia Congressman, former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, Barr, joins me. Good evening, sir. Long time since I've seen you. Tell me, what in the world is going on when they post this? They even assign a judge, but they post this on their website. They say it's happening, and it's down. What's going on?
Well, Greta, I've been practicing down here in Georgia, except for the few years that I served up in the Congress for many, many years. And the Fulton County judicial system has never been known for being terribly organized. And the way this case appears, or this apparent case has played out over the last several months, really is symptomatic of the fact that publicity is driving this whole process, not respect for an organized and professional and contained rule of law. I mean, we've had this notion that we have to have security. Well, we're not ready. Well, we need security. Well, we're not. Has been going on for weeks now, and it's getting a little bit tiresome. And this latest example that you pointed out is just another display of that lackadaisical attitude.
Well, the charges, according to this document, which they're apparently hiding now, date back to November 4th, 2020. So they've had 3 years to sit on that one, almost 3 years to sit on that one. And it's a whole series of charges. The judge that's been assigned to it, which, of course, now they're denying. They're denying there's even an indictment. But I got to tip my hat to Reuters, is a judge who is a former chief deputy down there, or deputy DA, rather. They've got a case number. And then what are they lying to us by saying that there's no indictment? I mean, somebody's not telling the truth to us about this.
It's a mess. And as you probably remember, Greta, several months ago, when the initial grand jury completed its work, it was not a grand jury that was designed or that was impaneled to return an indictment, but the chairperson of that grand jury went public and made, I wouldn't even call them nonsensical, idiotic statements about the work of that grand jury, which I think casts even further lack of credibility on this whole process. Now, of course, none of us have seen the indictment itself that they've been promising, but it's a mess.
That was so bizarre. Remember, she giggled like, like that or something, and she just wanted to hold the Bible, and she had an ice cream cone, and she went to an ice cream social with the prosecutor. I mean, it was like out of Star Wars. I mean, you wouldn't even believe it was such a bizarre proceeding. Now that was their special grand jury, and so now this regular grand jury who has indictment powers, they can't even figure out whether he's been indicted or not. They put something up on the web, then they pull it down. It does look Keystone Cop-ish, I must admit, down there, sir.
The Keystone Cops, although maybe a lot of our viewers don't remember the Keystone Cops, but I do as a kid growing up, and that is a very apt analogy, Greta.
Can former President Donald Trump get a fair trial in that courthouse?
Yes, but it's going to take a lot of work on both sides in order to ensure that. Hopefully the case will be assigned to a good judge. I serve on our Judicial Qualification Commission down here in Georgia. We do have a lot of very good judges, including some in Fulton County. Hopefully a good judge will get the case, and Ms. Willis will conduct this trial, if in fact there is an indictment, in a far better and more professional way than the pre-indictment process has gone.
Well, they've already assigned a judge, even though they claim they don't have an indictment. I don't know why the DA's office is lying to us about that there's no indictment if there is one. And if there isn't one, why are they, jumping the gun on this? But we'll see. I guess, tomorrow's a new day. Former Congressman Bob Barr, thank you. Hope you'll join me, because if this does go to trial, there'll be cameras, of course, in the courtroom down there, but we'll need a lot of legal analysis. So thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Greta.
Harvard Law School professor emeritus and author of the book Get Trump, Alan Dershowitz joins me. Alan, any thoughts about the fact that what's going on here, that they put this up on the website? Yeah. And it's just, well, okay, tell me.
Well, this is the first example of artificial intelligence making a Freudian slip. Here you have, everybody knows there's going to be an indictment. If the prosecutor wants an indictment, it's done. The grand jury is 23 chairs. Being moved around by a prosecutor. We know about the ham sandwich. So of course there'll be an indictment. And the artificial intelligence, the website, picked it up before the humans did, because they knew it was going to go on. So it's an extraordinary Freudian slip. And you can make any excuse you want, but we know there's been an indictment under RICO, which is outrageous. RICO was intended to go after organized crime, not election protests. We know there's going to be an indictment based probably on the phone call that was made where Trump said, "Find me." He didn't say invent, concoct, or manufacture. He said find, and find means it's there to be found. You just have to look harder to make sure that all the votes are counted.
But there's something, okay, if he hasn't been indicted, if the grand jury has not voted, just from a purely technical standpoint, is that the clerk's office has. And since when does the clerk's office get to indict? It's like, the whole idea is like almost the fixes in, like, I don't know what he did or what he didn't do or whatever it is, but it ought to be fair and not look like, all the cards are stacked where they indict him before the grand jury even votes.
Well, that's why it's so important. We know that that's the reality. People are indicted before the grand jury votes. So the machine has been smarter than the people and revealed to us the reality of how grand juries work. Now, grand juries are not required by the Constitution in a state court, only in the federal court. So there probably won't be any federal violation, but there might be some violation of state law. And I'm sure that Trump's lawyers will pursue those violations. But it is just, the appearance of justice is so compromised when a website announces an indictment, presumably before the grand jury voted.
All right, you were a lawyer in one of the most, probably the most watched trial in history, the O.J. Simpson trial. We expect that there'll be cameras in the courtroom based on what the judge, an order the judge signed for a case that apparently doesn't exist because it hasn't been indicted according to the DA. Who's on first is sort of the analogy. But tell me, I'm in favor of cameras in the courtroom because I like transparency, but you have worked under cameras in the courtroom. Is this a good idea or not a good idea to put cameras in this trial?
It doesn't matter whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. It's a necessary idea. Is it a good idea to have cameras in Congress? No, but we need transparency. We need transparency. You know, now we see how Congress operates. We must have television, not only in the state court proceedings, but in the federal court proceedings. And there's no law prohibiting federal trials from being shown on television. It's only a practice. And the Supreme Court has already allowed live transmission of arguments before the Supreme Court itself. So I think if a judge had the courage to say, I'm ordering this televised, the courts would sustain that judge. Now, in this case, Trump doesn't want to televise. Well, that's too bad. And the prosecution doesn't want to televise. That's too bad. That's not their right. It's the right of the public to see their trials working in real time.
All right, we only have about 40 seconds left. David Weiss is now made the special prosecutor by the Attorney General of the United States, who I think, frankly, I don't care who he is he dropped the ball on that whole plea thing, and so now he's being hired to be special counsel. Yeah. Why would the Attorney General pick somebody who made such a blunder? Why is he now made the special counsel? And
especially when the regulation prohibits it. It says the special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. Regulation 600.3. He's going to try to wiggle out of that, but Congress ought to call him and question him as to why he picked a man who was not qualified under the relevant regulations to be the special counsel, and especially somebody who probably consciously or unconsciously tried to justify the sweetheart deal that so many people think he gave to Hunter Biden, and the judge threw out. Remember who predicted the judge would throw it out? I predicted it on your show.
Well, okay, congratulations to you. Well, he clearly is the one who gave him the deal where it's buried in it for no one to find except this very observant judge, an immunity clause, which I've never seen. But anyway, in many of my work. Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.